Hello, magandang hapon po. At meron naman tayong pag-uusapan. Sa ngayon po, na huling-huli si Martin Romualdez na bumili ng bagong property na nagkakahalaga ng 2 milyon dolyares or 100 million pesos or 120 million pesos sa New York City. At pinalabas niya ito na kunwari binigay o donated sa kanya. Matindi. No, bago natin banatan yan, ha, ay, magbabati mo natin sa kan mga happy, beautiful Sunday, ha. So, ngayon, ah, babatiin na lang natin yung Sunday morning, left on the track. Yon. Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. Yet singing with a muzzle. This is my beautiful Sunday. This is my beautiful day. When you say that you love me. Whoa, whoa, mama, it's a beautiful day. Okay. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin si Tambaloslos. Ngayon, ladies and gentlemen, yung ninakaw ni Tambaloslos tsaka ni Marcos, yung pinsan niya, yung isa kanyang ninakaw, yung share sa nakawan, ay bumili siya ng property sa New York City sa Ritz Tower worth 2 million isang apartment. Saan ang galing ito? At ang higit sa lahat, pinalabas niya na ito ay donated sa kanya. Ngayon, kung titingnan mong papel, ang nag-ayos ng papel ay yung fraternity brother niya sa UP na si Attorney Casino. Pangalan na yung Casino. Makikita natin mamaya. Ito rin ang nag-ayos ng property niya sa Massachusetts, sa Dover, Massachusetts, na kung saan pinalabas niya na dinodonate niya na ngayon property niya in favor of an entity na sila rin ang mayari. Ano ang ibig sabihin yan? Pag-usapan natin ng donation. Bakit may tao na mag-donate sa kanya na hindi niya rin kilala? Bakit mag-donate sa kanya ng bahay o apartment na worth more than $2 million, $2.4 million ang halaga ng isang apartment sa Ritz Tower? Bakit? Anong rason? Ang rason na nakikita ko, pinalabas niya na kunwari donated sa kanya para hindi mahabol ng batas ang pera na kinulimbat niya sa Pilipinas at pinambili niya ng apartment. Tatago nila. Grabe ito ka magnanakaw na mayroon itong Romualdez na to. Pinag-aral ka sa UP, tapos nag-aral ka sa UP, mayaman ka, dapat nga sana nagbabayad ka ng tuition. Tapos, ganun ibabalik mo sa pamahalaan natin pag nanakaw. Grabe ka talaga, tambaluslos ka talaga. Ipresenta natin ang ebidensya. Ang nag-imbestiga nito si Natasha Gonzalez. So, anyway, yun yung reporter na naging reporter ng Rappler at gumraduate siya sa Yale University sa Amerika. Pero not too long ago, about October this year, ay nag-donate siya. Siya mismo na naman nag-donate. Siya naman ito ngayon nag-donate. Dinonate niya o nag-waiver siya. Binili niya, pero donation ng tao, pero binenta niya ng $1. Ang property na $2.4 million ang halaga na nandoon sa Dover, Massachusetts. Binenta niya $1 sa kanyang korporasyon. Ano ibig sabihin doon? Para hindi mahabol ng bansang Pilipinas kung kakasuhan siya. Grabe. Itong hirap sa inyo, ang pagka-abogado ninyo, ginagamit nyo sa pagnanakaw. Ikaw, attorney, Casino. Kano ka ni Teddy Casino? Magkabaliktad kayo ni Teddy Casino. Si Teddy Casino makakaliwa. Ikaw, makakanan. Matindi talaga. O, tingnan ninyo. Ipakita ko. Pakita ko yung research ko. gamit ang AI ni Elon Musk. Ang AI ni Elon Musk ay nagpapakita na nakabili siya, may nagbigay ng property sa kanya. Ayan tingnan mo. Ang ginagamit ko ngayon po ay Grok.ai. Ito yung ang AI, Artificial Intelligence ni Elon Musk. Ito sabi niya, ah, sabi niya sa public records, including House Speaker, no, ownership of a property at the Ritz Tower, 465 Park Avenue in New York City. Public records, real estate listings, and recent news reports as of December 2025 do not mention such a connection. The Ritz Tower is a historic luxury cooperative built in 1926 with apartments typically ranging from $1 million to several million dollars, depending on the size, condition, and floor. Listings include units around 1.5 to $2.8 million, with some higher end or renovated ones offering incentives like renovation credits. So, ngayon, para mapatunayan natin, pero bago yan, ipakita muna natin itong investigation ng litrato ni Natasha Gonzalez. Yan po. Investigating the NYC property of Martin Romualdez. Ang kinita niya sa flood control, binili nito, pinalabas niya lang na donated. Grabing taong ito. So, tapos, ano pa? Ito. Ito dali. Yan. The luxury property. So ngayon, dalhin ko muna kayo sa itong Ritz Tower, ay yung property sa Dover, Massachusetts, na binenta niya $1. Saan ka makikita ng $1? Ang halaga niyan ay $2.4 million. So binenta niya, ito naman po. Pakita ko sa inyo. Na doon napunta, mga ninakaw nila sa mga ninakaw nila sa flood control. Yan, tingnan mo. Ito po yung bahay. Kita nyo? Yan ang bahay sa Dover, Massachusetts. Yan ang property ni Martin Romualdez na binenta nilang ng $1 sa korporasyon nila. Tapos, ito siya. Yan, si Martin Romualdez. Grabe, no? Tapos ito yung papel na quit claim deed. Kita nyo, quit claim? Ayan, quit claim deed. I, Martin G. Ferdinand Romualdez, aka Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, aka Ferdinand Gomez Martin Romualdez of Manila, Republic of the Philippines, for nominal consideration of $1, hereby grant to AMI or AMY Incorporated, a corporation organized under the laws of Delaware and registered as a foreign corporation with the security of the Commonwealth Corporations Division having a mailing address at, New York. Okay? Quit claim covenants. The land with the building and improvements thereon situated in Dover, Massachusetts at 114, Carl Street, bounded and described as follows. So anyway, yan po yung ito namang ibang detalye. Property location sa Dover, Massachusetts. Ownership, Romualdez Martin G. Narrative description. This parcel contains 6.25 acre of land, mainly classified as one farm with a colonial building built about 1930, having primarily wood shing exterior and 4,840.85 square feet with one residential unit, 3 baths, 1 half bath, 10 rooms, and 4 bedrooms. So current property assessment, year 2025, land area 6.25 acres. Card 1 value, building value $1,268,400. Extra features value $4,000. $100. Land value, $971,500. Total value, $2,244,000. So, yan ang mga property niya. Okay, nakita nyo? O pakinggan natin ngayon si Natasha Gonzalez. Natasha, I'm asking uh, permission from you, although belatedly, na i-project ko ito at mag-subscribe at mag-like kayo sa channel ni Natasha Gutierrez. Hindi pala Gonzales, Natasha Gutierrez. So, subscribe kayo sa kanyang ito papalabas na natin ang kanyang balakan, nilabas. Dali Makinig tayo sa kanya na discover. Ito. So, 16. Okay, ito na.
I started looking into the assets of former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. The reason why I was looking into his assets was because he was among the highest government officials being linked to the scandal. Obviously, as House Speaker at the time that the corruption was happening, I was interested to see if his assets might show any changes in his wealth. And the mere fact that he is the first cousin of the president was very interesting to me. And because he hasn't yet released his statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN, which is required of any government official, wherein they are meant to declare truthfully the assets and their wealth, I was quite interested in looking deeper into what he owned. And so that is what has led me to our exclusive today. So during the course of that, I then came across a property under his name in New York City that's never been reported on before. So I have the paperwork here, the documents from New York from the Office of the City Register of the City of New York, which tells us that in 2024, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez asked the administrator of the estate of his father, Benjamin Romualdez, acquired a property in Manhattan on 465 Park Avenue, Unit 28A, New York, New York. But the one thing that raises eyebrows about this transaction is that it was a no consideration transfer. What does that mean? Real estate lawyers that I've spoken to say that a no consideration transfer means that
Yan sasabi na walang consideration transfer, ibig sabihin, binigay. Pero sino naman siya para bigyan siya ng tao na hindi nakikilala? Meron bang isang tao na hindi kakilala magbibigay ng Magbibigay lang sa iyo basta-basta? At ang ay 2.4 billion ang halaga normally niyan, dollars.
Apartment unit, this luxurious apartment unit was gifted. A no consideration transfer is used for gifts or donations, and it appears in the paperwork that the property was gifted to the estate of Benjamin Romualdez, received by Representative Martin Romualdez, although it does not say in the paperwork.
Ito, kita mo. Kunwari, napunta sa tatay niya, sa estate ng tatay niya, para iwasan ang pag-investigasyon na yung kinita niya sa flood control project mabibisto. Kaya gano'n ang diskarte niya. Kunwari, ay binigay sa estado sa property ng tatay niya na si Kukoy Romualdez. Ano ibig sabihin niyan? Siya rin ang bumili nun. Gumamit ibang tao, bumili ng property, ipinangalan o ibinigay doon sa estate ng tatay niya, estate ni Kukoy Romualdez.
Why it was donated to them, which lawyers have told me is slightly suspicious, because who is donating high value New York City properties to strangers? It appears that from my investigation that the previous owner of this apartment building, this unit, and the Ritz Tower is not related to the Romualdez family. And so, why was this donated? The paperwork also does not show that any money was exchanged. And so, we want to know why. But when I asked lawyers what could possibly have happened here, they told me just in general that it could mean the property was paid for in cash. It could mean there was a different agreement. There are many ways we can interpret this, but it's hard to know for sure because the paperwork only tells us certain details, and we were hoping to get
Grabe,
those
tuso,
answers
no?
as to
Tuso.
why from the parties involved. Now, the other thing about no consideration transfers is there is no there are no taxes involved. So we want to understand why it was a no consideration transfer. But unfortunately, in the affidavit that is also signed by Representative Martin, there is no reason given as to why it was a no consideration transfer. It says here the aforementioned no consideration transfer was made solely for the grounds stated herein. Unfortunately, on the paperwork, there are no grounds stated as to why. So again, it raises more questions for me as to A, why has a complete stranger seemingly donated a high value Manhattan property to the Romualdez family, signed and received by Representative Martin Romualdez? Two, why was it a no consideration transfer?
Yan. Ang tanong, ulitin ko na sa Tagalog na tanong, bakit magbibigay sa kanya ng property na ang halaga ay $2.4 million doon sa estate ng tatay niya? Bakit? Anong dahilan? Ang dahilan na nakikita ko po ay kasama yan, binili ng apartment na yan sa Ritz Tower ay kasama yan sa kinita niya sa flood control projects. Kasama yan sa dineliver ni Saldico sa kanya na 1 billion a month. Ha? Yan.
And three, the other thing that's worth noting in this paperwork is that the lawyer who facilitated the transfer of the property
Sino ang abogado na facilitate? Andrew Casino, Esquire. Yang brad niya, nag-graduate sa UP. Brad niya sa College of Law, si Andrew Casino. Yan din po ang isa sa mga director or shareholders ng Benguet Mining Corporation. Tingnan, pakinggan mo.
is Andrew Casino. Now, this name is quite familiar because that is the same lawyer who helped Representative Romualdez transfer his Dover, Massachusetts property that was worth $2.24 million to a corporation for just $1 in
Gago itong Andrew Casino to. Dapat kapatayin ng Pilipino. Tinutulungan mo magnakaw ang magnanakaw na maitago ang kanyang ninakaw. Grabe ka.
July 2025. This is based on a report by Rappler. So it's that same lawyer who helped Representative Martin transfer his Massachusetts property just for $1 to a company, AMI Inc., that later on, Rappler reports, is also run or managed by the lawyer Andrew Casino.
Kanya rin yun, korporasyon ng AMI Inc. Grabe. Ang pinamamanage niya yung brad niya na si Andrew Casino.
The other thing about Andrew Casino is he's actually a fraternity brother of Representative Martin, and he sits on the board of one of Representative Martin's mining companies,
Yeah,
Benguet
Benguet
Corporation. So what do we know about this apartment unit? Well, what we know is that 465 Park Avenue is the Ritz Tower in Manhattan, and I'm now on their website, and it says the Ritz Tower was built in 1925 as the city's most elegant apartment hotel.
Yan ang
The Ritz Tower today remains one of Manhattan's most luxurious and sought-after residential cooperatives, noted for its spacious and elegant apartments, each one unique.
Grabe
On another website, on City Realty, I can see photos of the Ritz Tower, and it looks very glam. I think what also stands out to me is that it's located at the intersection of Park Avenue and 57th Street, which means that it's close to Central Park, high-end shopping, and fine dining. And the cooperative allows pied-à-terre, which means it doesn't have to be your first residence. It could be purchase something as a second home for vacationers, allows for foreign purchasers and corporate ownership structures. It also says that there's 142 apartments in the building, and the Ritz Tower maintains its tradition of luxury service. Residents enjoy an
Hindi ko
array
alam
of
kung kamag-anak
hotel
nito
style
si Kim.
amenities,
Kita mo ang
including
ganda,
a
oh.
full time
Yan ang
chef
binili mo.
offering lunch and dinner service,
Yan ang binigay.
24-hour doorman and concierge, housekeeping, valet, and porter services. The building features a state of the art fitness center, meeting or party room, and business center. So it does sound quite glam. Now, for the specific apartment that Representative Martin owns, we actually don't know if it's a two-bedroom, a one-bedroom. I cannot seem to find that information on the site because it wasn't sold publicly. Again, it was no consideration transfer. It was donated or gifted to the Romualdeses. And what we do know, though, because I was looking at prices, is that units in this building actually are quite varied. So Redfin, which is a real estate website, estimates the property of Representative Martin, the 28A unit, at $4.7 million. Okay, that is the estimate that's online on Redfin. But I do have to mention that on Property Shark, which is another real estate website, the units in the Ritz Tower vary in purchase price from $150,000 to $4.2 million. So we don't actually know how much this unit costs, but judging from the description of the Ritz Tower, it does sound like a luxury property. And even if it is under the estate of his father, and let's say it's not fully owned by him, again, I want to emphasize that lawyers I've spoken to have said that it should still be reported by Representative Martin on his SALN. Why is that? Because he will still get a portion of this because he is a
Tingnan
beneficiary
natin
of
sa
the
talin niya.
estate of his father. So again, it is illegal to not be truthful in your SALN. So hopefully this property is on his SALN. And if it is, then hopefully we'll get more answers as to why this transaction transpired the way it did as a donation with no money seemingly exchanged. I do not know if this property is in his SALN because I've asked for a copy of it. I've emailed him and followed up repeatedly. I would say maybe 5 times over the last week, and even before that, for Al Jazeera. Actually, you can see on the documentary that when he visited the Independent Commission on Infrastructure, I asked him directly, will you release your SALN? And he said he would if the ICI were to ask it. And I looked at the Ritz Tower, which is where this high value property is. And I found that there are now, as of 2025, 3 properties under Andrew Casino's name, under attorney Casino's name at the Ritz Tower. It's Ritz Tower 18D, Ritz Tower floor 35, unit 35, and unit 18A. So 2 properties, unit 18D and unit 35 at the Ritz Tower, were transferred to attorney Casino in March 2025, on the same day, March 5th, 2025. I'm unable to tell you who the previous owner was because it's an LLC, but the address of both LLCs are the same address as Andrew Casino. The third property, Unit 18A, was transferred in June 2025, so just a few months ago, by a private seller to Andrew Casino. Now, I've also reached out and asked Attorney Casino and Representative Martin if these 3 additional properties that are now in Casino's name, just as of 2025, are actually owned by the Romualdeses. Because right now Attorney Casino is just listed as a trustee of these 3 properties.
Ako, kay Casino pinangalan. Dami property kay Casino pinangalan. Kano ni Ted Casino yan?
And I asked them if these 3 additional properties at the same building actually belonged to the Romualdez family. Unfortunately, I did not hear from Attorney Casino or Representative Martin on that question. So there are three things to note here. One, why was a New York high value property donated to the Romualdez family? Two, by a seemingly by a stranger, it seems. Two, why was it a no consideration transfer? And three, why are there three more properties under the lawyer's name? The
Yun
same
nga,
lawyer
bakit
who's a fraternity
pinangalan mo
brother
sa
of Representative Martin who helped transfer
bakit mo pinangalan sa abogado mo mga property? Ibig sabihin, iniiwas mo na madiscover.
another property in Massachusetts. So there are a few questions here that unfortunately I can't answer because I did not hear any responses. But I do have recorded here all the times that I've followed up with them. So I first sent this email to Representative Martin, Attorney Casino, and the private owner who sold it to them. And in those letters that I first sent on November 20, I followed up yet again on November 21, on November 25, on November 26, on email, on WhatsApp, on Viber. I even called Attorney Casino's number and left a voicemail, did not get a response. Representative Martin, I've messaged him four times on Viber as
Ay,
well.
hindi sasagot yan.
Did not hear a response. Emailed two different addresses of his office that have previously responded to me and did not get a response. So I want to read to you the questions that I've thrown to Representative Martin because these are the questions that we still want answers to. We would like to confirm that the previous owner of the Ritz Tower apartment that he acquired is unrelated to him or his family.
Not related. Hindi ka
If
magkano.
so, kindly explain why the property was transferred to you, Representative Martin,
Oh, ba't
via a
binigay?
no
Hindi mo
consideration
ka
transfer, which
magbigay
is
ng
reserved
property sa'yo.
only for gifts and donations. I told him, your fraternity brother Andrew R. Casino helped facilitate the transfer of the property. 3 other properties in the same building are under his name as a trustee as of 2025. Please confirm if these properties, specifically units 18A, 18D, and 35, are yours or your family's. And we respectfully request a copy of your latest statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. I've given them a week to respond, which is standard for journalism practice. I've actually extended that a couple more days before recording this podcast, and I have yet to hear any responses, but I sure hope that after this podcast, we can get more answers from Representative Martin himself or his lawyer. So hopefully, we get more answers from Representative Martin about this New York property and the questions that we have. And learn.
Anyway, maraming salamat sa ginawa mo, Natasha. Natasha Gutierrez. Maraming salamat sa ginawa mo. At natulungan mo ang mamamayang Pilipino na malalaman nila na yung pera na ninanakaw sa Pilipinas ay pinamimili ng property dyan sa Amerika. Grabe ka. You're a sucker na masarap ka patayin, gigilitan sa liig. Kung makikita lang kita sa totoo lang. Ay, nako. Nakakakonsensya talaga. Brad, Dennis Causing, Mary Jane Enriquez, Sorina Jabalya, salamat Salam, Marcos Resign, yan. Nakaw lang kayo nakaw dito, nakaw ron. Roberto Panuela, tapos si Hazel Aquino, iba na talaga ang maraming pera galing sa kaban ng bayan. Mahiya ka naman. Kaya nga sabi, gusto kong kantahin yung kanta ni Glock ngayon eh. Kayong mga nakaupo, subukan nyo namang tumayo. Baka kayo mamyaw, meow, meow. Baka kayo mamyaw, meow, meow. Sige, kailangan malalim lang investigasyon. So, Genciano Pilayo, Doc, kaano-ano ba ni Teddy Casino? Hindi ko alam kung kamag-anak ni Teddy Casino ito si Attorney Andrew Casino. Uncle, Interesting and warm greetings to you. Great video sharing. Alan Felix. Tapos yung demonyong pari na yan. Tahimik na nakaw na pamilyang Marcos Romualdez Araneta. Back squatter, Marcos Resign. Okay mga pare, Father Flavi Villanueva. Nakita mo ba ito, Heidi Mendoza? Nakita mo ba ito? Cielo Magno. Kita mo, Sasrugando Sasot? Lahat kayo, dapat makita nyo ito. Anti tsaka pro Duterte, dapat makita nyo ito. Ganun talaga. Ito naman to, dagdag na ebidensya na naman ito sa mga, tama, no? Birador, no? Baka dual citizen nga si Romualdez. Matindi ito, Jing Onciano. Tapos maraming salamat, At saka dati palang adik yung pari na nagsampa ng plunder. Dating adik yun si Father Flavi Villanueva. Wala nang matino sa administrasyong ito. Puro magkawatan. Yan Nanggaganso, sabi ni Genciano Pelayo, nanggaganso pa ng mga pera ng Pilipino. Di po nakukulong, kasabwat yata sila. Kaya nakakaasar talaga. Dati palang adik yung pare. Father Flavi, bakit hindi mo ito banggitin nyo man lang, kahit isigaw nyo lang. You do not join the chorus of the desire for justice. But you are only wanting to file a case against Duterte, nothing else. What is that? Tapos sabihin ni Cardo sa Bukid. Tapos sabihin na naman ng loyalista ng fake news. Akala ko, si Melissa, adik pa rin yan, sabi ni Melissa Javier. Akala ko si Senba. So, anyway, ito na lang po. At pakishare-share po. Pakilike. At sana ay yung hindi pa nakakuan sa akin, subscribe na po kayo. Sa Yasmin Martino. Doc, nowhere to be found na si Tamba. Hindi naman lang nag-explain sa public. Implicated siya sa corruption. Sila ni Bongbong Marcos ang mastermind dito. Kasama si Saldico. So maraming salamat po. Si Gabriel Mejorada, Cielo Magno, na economic analyst, dapat mas galit sa gobyerno sa grabing kinurap na budget ng trilyon. Wala, hindi bias siya Di ba kaya ang bumoto sa magnanakaw? Okay, maganda.